So in this short film, we're looking at how to turn a basic portrait. This is the JPEG straight out of camera on the left-hand side. Even though obviously we usually work from the raw file, every now and again it's really good to actually show you what we're capturing at source. And what we're going to do is just add a little bit of Photoshop magic to create a little bit more of a surreal, almost infrared-y kind of look of portrait on the right-hand side. So let's quickly move out of screen mode, and we'll just kind of go into our main image. So with the main photograph selected now, the first thing would be in all pictures is to correct the unwanted elements. So for the first thing I want to do is get rid of the road in the background and basically the end of the motorway. So I'm just going to click onto the quick lasso tool, or L, and then basically select around the edges of the part that I want. Now I'm going to do it in one sweep, but there's not necessarily to do it in one hit. What I'm going to do is actually hit the content aware fill. So I'm going to hit the backspace, and that brings up the fill command. As you can see here, we've selected the content aware. We've got other options below, and then basically going to press OK. So Photoshop is going to look at the pixels, match it in with other pixels around now, and go, yep, that's what I want to create. And it's going to fill it in. It's not going to do a bad job there at all. So just because I can, I'm just going to quickly take out those little black lines in the same way. Quick selection. It's just where it's blending it together. And looking at the tones, just to make it look a little bit more kind of real. I'm going to put some highlight render on the top there anyway and things really, so it's no big deal. Okay, so I fixed the basics, and what I want to do now is basically go in and change these colors to the more surreal look. So the first thing to do is just duplicate the layer. So I can just Control J, and that duplicates the layer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert it like a negative. So I'm going to press Control I, and you can see here it's quite a dramatic effect, but we're not looking for it to kind of create itself into a negative today. What we're going to do, in fact, is in the layer blend mode, we're going to come up and we're going to select color. So as soon as we select color now, you can see it's back into its positive, as it were, but it's obviously inverted all the colors visible within the whole image. The only thing it's not doing, of course, inverting white to black and black to white. Okay, so that's where we would see it in the negative option. So to take a little bit more control and give a little bit more of an infrared control, we're just going to go up and select on the layers palette a adjustment layer. And we're going to be looking for channel mixer. So if we just click onto here into the third panel down, then we can see channel mixer. And then let's just drag that across onto the photograph so we can see what we're doing. And what we're going to do to begin with is in the red selection, we're going to move the reds from 100% to 0, and then we're going to turn the blues to 100%. Okay, so that's given that quick swap. In the same way, we want to invert it, and in the blue channel, we're going to give the reds 100%, and we're going to give the blues 0. So you can see now we've got this kind of real infrared kind of shift going on. So there's our first stage to the little bit more of a surreal portrait. What else we're going to do? Well, I think we should just kind of boost the colors a little bit and tweak the colors as well. But we've also got to look at the skin tone that we're doing here. So first thing would be is go over onto the layers palette again, quickly select on a new filler adjustment layer, and in this case we're going to be looking for a hue and saturation, third panel down. And then what we're going to do now is just go in and select first of all just the reds, and this is where we can kind of tweak the colors or tweak the look and feel to wherever we want to actually kind of boost them in their kind of mix is concerned. So just a little bit into the minus into a change there. And then we're going to saturate up a little bit. So just boosting that color just a touch more. If we want, then we can actually go in and actually change any of the other colors within the scene. But the skin is looking quite green, so if we kind of just go into the greens for a minute and we just actually shift the green, you can see it's not having a huge amount of effect. So let's double click that again just to put it back to 0, and it's in the yellows we're going to actually go and adjust. So if we just go into here and we now adjust the actual yellows, we can see we've got the skin tone coming back a little bit. Now I'm not too much worried about the skin tone here because I'm actually going to go back to true skin tone. But if I wanted to do it just a little bit more kind of to give it the realistic look here, then you can see kind of we've done it already. So once that's done, I want to make a new layer based on all visible. So remember what we've got here is a layer that's inverted, and we've basically just put it into the color mode. Then we've put a channel mixer to swap the blue to red and red to blue, as it were, the dominance. And then we've put a hue and saturation mainly to adjust the reds and pinks within the photograph, but we've also actually gone in there and added in a quick correction to the yellows to help the skin tone a touch. So let's create a layer based on all layers visible. So Shift Control Alt E puts an image at the top now. And so I can switch all the others off below. So there's the after so far, and there's the before. Now, what I want to do is actually bring in some of the real skin tone back into the image. I don't want it fake. So I'm just going to click onto a mask, and then I'm just going to press B for brush, D for default. That puts white on top and black underneath, and then just press X to make sure I've got clean black actually on the top of the palette here. What we're referring to is actually here, yeah? So if we clicked D, that will go for the default, white on top, black underneath. X puts the reverse in of those colors. So just using the bracket key then to shrink down the brush size, the one that I want. In this case, I'm only bringing back the skin tone. I think I might bring back the dress a little bit as well, to be honest. So you can see up here, it's only based on 70%. So it's not a full 100%. So it just allows a little bit of forgiveness, especially when the brush is big. Let's go back in now, making sure we've got all the face back into the true color. Bring back the hair with that little bit of pinkiness. I didn't mind it, in fact. Okay, and then just on the top part of the hair as well, just to make sure we've got some of the blend mode being hidden as well in the color. Okay, so we're pretty much there. We've got a pretty good image, and we've done what we set out to do. In other words, we've given it a little bit more of a surreal infrared kind of mix in color. But if we want to take this up another layer again, so once more, Shift Control Alt E. That's going to basically add that new image now with a corrected skin tone on top. You can see I've just hidden the others. And then what I'm going to do is start to add in a kind of a lens flare coming through. So if we look in towards the subject, we can see the lens flare is coming in from, or should come in from the right hand side. So all we're going to do now is go up into Filter, Render, and basically Lens Flare. We're going to choose the lens flare to the top right hand corner here where it would be coming from. We can obviously say how much we want it to extend to, choose the type of lens flare that we want as well. So let's just go for a 105 prime, shrink it down to the touch, just going to press OK. So there's our lovely kind of surreal kind of haze coming through. And of course, if I switch on the other elements, if I think that it's a little bit too much, I can start to actually just knock it back a little bit by changing the opacity. So in a very, very short time, we've gone for an image that is basically just being illuminated with a quick reflector. We've inverted the background colors to give a little bit more of a surreal effect, and then we've added in a little bit of a lens flare to give a little bit more of a dynamic. So in the full before and after, if we just go into File, go into Revert, we can see the difference from those images quickly. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.